Hello students, welcome back into the another session of CS02 Programming in C. Lastly, we have discussed about various types of user-defined function, from which we have started with a function with argument with return value, and for this UDF type we have taken two examples which demonstrate that how can we use function with argument with return value as UDF. Example number 1 is to find out maximum from two numbers, and example number 2 is to find out minimum from two numbers. So this is the first type that we have started. During the implementation of this type, four things we have to keep in our mind, that is function prototype, function prototype, then function call, third function initialization, and fourth one is return. Now with taking care of all this concept, we can go ahead with second type of UDF, that is function without argument with return value. You can see the difference between first one and the second one. There is a difference is of a single word, that is with and without argument. In our newer UDF type, we have to use without argument type, but it returns the value same like a previous one. So let's see how can we implement the program using the same concept. For the comparison purpose, we are keeping both the example common in this second type. That means we'll implement maximum and minimum with the second type of UDF, that is function without argument with return value. So you can compare with the previous one. So let's start with the same. Just open the C editor, remove the previous code. Let me remove the previous code. You have to open the new window. After writing the library function, here first I am declaring the return type, because the UDF type is function without argument but with return value. So here I am declaring the return type, then the name of function, and I don't have to pass any argument. So bracket remains without any data type. Then after main executable statement, that is void main, into the bracket directly I am writing CLRS here. Then here I am declaring just one output variable, that is C, and I am making a function call. Here let me mention that this is function prototype. Just compare this line with previous example, right? You will get the difference over here. That means in this bracket we have mentioned nothing because it is without argument. So after CLRS here I am writing C is equals to max, and into the bracket semicolon, this is a function call. Second difference you will find over here, by comparing with the previous example, then the statement is printf, maximum is %d, comma C with get ch function. Then after the closing bracket, my next step is to initialize the function. So here I am writing integer max into the bracket, no need to write semicolon over here. This line of code is called as function initialization. You will see the third difference by comparing with the previous example. Then into this function initialization part, here I am declaring two variables, that is a and b. Then I am writing printf, enter your first value, scanf %d, comma %a, which holds the first value in variable called a. Then I am writing printf, enter your second value, scanf %d, comma %b. Then here I am giving our decision making statement if a greater than b. If this condition is true, it returns the first value called a, else if condition is false, it returns the second value, that is b. Let's check by debugging the code. As you can see that there are no syntactical error onto the screen. We can proceed for second step. Let's execute the code. Here I am entering the first value, that is 2, which is ultimately stored inside the variable called a. Then I am entering the second value, that is 6, which stores inside the second variable called b. Condition becomes false and it prints maximum is 6 onto the screen. So the flow of this program is correct as per the theory is concerned. Let's interchange the value for cross verification purpose. First value I am entering 8 and second value I am entering 2. Condition becomes true, it prints 8 onto the screen. So program works properly. And the perfect output is there onto the screen. So in this way we can write a user defined type function without argument with return value to find out maximum of two numbers. Let's see this particular program into the notepad for better visibility. Just open my computer, C drive, Turbo C disk, Turbo C3 bin, and I have saved this particular file as a 3.c. I am opening it into the notepad. You will see the entire program onto the screen. As you can see that after the library function, first I have defined the function prototype where the return type is integer, name of the function is max, and the function UDF type that we have to use is function without argument. So into the bracket I have not passed any argument. Then into the void main statement, first I have declared a output variable called c. Then after CLRS here I have called the function by making a function call like c is equals to max into the bracket semicolon. Then after there is a printf statement which prints the maximum of two number, which is written by the initialized function. So after a function call, there is a function initialization. Into the function initialization, return types remain same, which we have declared into the function prototype as the theory indicates. Even the name of function remains same, which we have declared into the function prototype. Then into the brackets of initialized function, I have declared two local variable a and b which holds the first and second value. After entering the first and second value from the keyboard by the user, decision making statement will check that two values, and if the condition is true, it returns A, and if the condition is false, it returns B. But whatever the value returns by the statement called return from function initialization, it returns into the function call and it stores inside the variable called C, and C is printed onto the screen, which ultimately prints the maximum of entered two numbers. So in this way, the entire program works. Let's do more practice for the same. What will be the definition of this program? Just note it down for your general purpose. Write a program to find maximum of two number using function without argument with return value. That will be the definition that you have to mention into the journal, and you have to write the same code in that. Let's move on. Next example is based on the same example. Instead of maximum, I am finding minimum of two numbers. Let me change the function prototype first. I am giving the name of function is min, that is for minimum. As I have changed into the function prototype, I have to make necessary changes into the function call also. So even in this, I am writing the same name of the function which I have declared into the function prototype. Then instead of max, it prints minimum. So even I have to change the label of printf statement. Then the next change is in function initialization. Min I have to write. And the last change which I have to do is, instead of this relational operator called greater than, I have to write a relational operator called less than. Let me save the code and let's check for the syntactical error. As there are no syntactical error, we can proceed for the execution phase of the program. Here I am entering the first value as a 4 and second value as a 9. My condition becomes true. It returns 4 onto the screen because from 4 and 9, 4 is the minimum value. Let me rerun the code and let's interchange the value. Condition becomes false and it returns 4 as 4 is minimum value onto the screen. So by just a simple changes into the existing program, we can create a new program. Let me open the same code into the notepad where the changes we have done. The first change we have done into the function prototype. Second change I have done into the function call. Third change I have done into the printf label. Fourth change I have done into the function initialization. And the last change which I have done is into the conditional part, into the if statement, which converts my program from maximum to minimum. Now just compare this particular program with the first type, that is function with argument with return value. You will see the changes into these four corners that I have recently discussed. Now let's move on. This was all about the second type of UDF that we need to study as far as the Saurashtra University syllabus is concerned. write down the second definition that you can see onto the screen. Write a program to find out minimum of two number using function with argument, function without argument with return value. Again, I am repeating my statements. Write a program to print minimum of two numbers using function without argument with return value. And the program is there onto the screen, which we have recently developed. Let's continue our discussion. Next type of UDF we have to discuss is function with argument without return value. Here I have mentioned the third type of UDF that we have to discuss, function with argument without return value. In this type, something is changed. Up to this, without is attached with argument. Now without is shifted from argument to return, right? I would like to clear that in this concept, our four pillars, that is function prototype, function call, function initialization, and value return is carry forwarded in this particular concept also. The change is into the fourth one, as we have to go for no returning value, because here I have mentioned without return, right? Or instead of this no, you can write without. Let's not create a more confusion. Here I am just replacing this word without return. So let's see how can we implement the code. We'll again keep these two examples common for the same. Let me remove the entire code. Then first is the function prototype. First I have to mention function prototype. So what will be the function prototype? Just I am repeating the function type that we are discussing, function with argument without return value, right? So whenever there is a word called without return, you have to mention void max into the bracket integer comma integer. That means two arguments are passed during the function call. So this would be the function prototype, void max integer comma integer, then void main opening and closing bracket. Here I am declaring two variables called a and b with my basic function called clr scr. Then I am writing printf, enter your first value, scanf, %d, ampersand a, printf, enter your second value, scanf, %d, ampersand b. Then here I am just calling the function and I am passing the two values like a and b, that could be called as function call. Then my basic function called getCh void main statement is over. Again here I am writing void max two dummy variables x and y which holds the value of a and b. Then the decision making statement if x greater than y. No need to use return statement over here because the UDF type we have to use is function without function with argument without return value. So directly I am using a printf statement, printf %d comma x, else printf %d comma y. Just save the program and let's check for the syntactical error. As you can see that there are no syntactical errors, we can proceed. For the execution phase, let's enter 5 and 9. My condition becomes false, it prints maximum is 9 onto the screen. Here I am just concatenating the message max, and even into the else statement I am concatenating the message label max. Let's rerun the code. 8 and 2, condition becomes true, it prints max is 8. So you can see that if the function type is function with argument, into the function prototype argument need to be created, and if function is without return, at that time void keyword we have to use. So just keep this thing in your mind. This is the core part of this entire discussion. If the function type is UDF type is without return, we need to use void statement. So I have written void max integer comma integer in function prototype. Then into the function call, as you can see that there are no third output variable because return is not there. Then into the function initialization, there is a same type that we have declared into the function prototype. Name of the function remains same in function call, function initialization and function prototype. Then the two dummy variables x and y for holding the value of a and b. Then there is a decision making statement. If condition is false, then value itself is printed into the initialized function. Function will not return the value, it will print that value itself onto the screen. If condition is true, it prints x, and if condition is false, it prints y. Let's see this code into the notepad for better visibility. Include stdio.h hash include console input output.h void max integer comma integer. This is the function prototype for function with argument without return value. Then void main, opening and closing bracket, two local variable declaration a and b. Enter your first value, scanf %d ampersand a. Printf, enter your second value, scanf %d ampersand b. Then there is a function call. In this function call, it calls the max function by passing the two actual arguments called a and b. Here I am using the actual argument word because actually the original value stores inside the variable called a and b. Then into the function initialization, there is a void type as we are using without return. Then the name of functions remains same, that is max, and two dummy variables called x and y for holding the value of a and b. Then into the bracket, it checks for the condition. If this condition is true, x is maximum, and if condition is y false, then y is the maximum. Ultimately, it prints x or y onto the screen. So there is a difference. Here, up to this, we are using return keyword, but in this example, we have not used the return keyword. Directly, we are printing the maximum value using a printf statements. Let's make another program which find out the minimum of two numbers. What are the necessary changes that I have to do? First, the name of UDF, that is min. Same thing is in function call. Same thing is in function initialization. We have to change the relational operator from greater than to less than. That's it. Run the code. 6 and 2 condition becomes false. 2 should be printed onto the screen. One thing I have missed, we have to change this label from max to min. Let's run the code. Enter the value. Condition becomes true, it returns 2 onto the screen. Then 8 and 2 condition becomes false, even it prints 2 onto the screen, which is the minimum number. So students, this is the way to write the program using function with argument without return value. In this type of UDF, we have kept the two examples common, that is to find out minimum and maximum of two numbers. Here I am just writing the definition which you have to implement by yourself, and you have to write it into the journals. That is, write a program to find maximum of two numbers. Write a program to find maximum of two numbers using function with argument without return value. And what will be the second definition? Write a program to find minimum of two numbers using function with argument without return value. Write a program to find minimum of two numbers using function with argument without return value. So this would be the two definition which you have to implement using this type, and then you have to mention it into the journal. So I hope this was all about today's session. In our next lecture, we'll go for the last type of UDF, that is function without argument without return value. So wait for that. If you are interested, if you are getting interested in my subject, just cover up all these topics first, note it down into the journals, try to find out the new definitions, and then try to implement the same using this type. In tomorrow's session, we'll discuss about function without argument without return value. Thank you very much students for listening me, and have a nice day.